And the doctors never did come out and tell me, you know, that medically I would never, you know, walk again. But it was apparent. It was, you know, seemingly a permanent thing. It was a bitter pill to swallow. Well, I was born and raised in this beautiful beach town of Pensacola, Florida, into a very active family. Fortunately, not only was my family very active, but we were a strong Christian family. And I had a new birth experience at 8 years old, but there was no reality to that relationship. It was just going to church through the motions. You know, that was the thing to do. One particular summer, though, we were on a whitewater rafting trip. That's another thing that we loved to do. But this particular summer in 1978, we were doing the Salmon River up in Idaho. I remember it was the second day of this 5-day trip. It was a beautiful morning. Probably about an 8-10 mile, you know, trip downriver on the rafts. You know, they're big rafts. Got off the river probably around 5 o'clock, you know, set up tent. That's the first thing we do. Get ready for the night, and while they're kind of preparing supper, the guides are, we're doing our thing with the campsite. And I can remember setting up the tent early in a way, so I had at least an hour to spare before supper. So that's when I decided I would just explore the region, maybe see what kind of mischief I could get into. 300 yards away or so from the campsite, I saw this cliff. Thought, you know what, that'll be a fun challenge right there. Let me get up on top of that plateau and look down the river. Not afraid of heights, 15-year-old bulletproof, you know, kid. I thought, yeah, no sweat. I started to free climb up, no climbing experience per se, you know, no ropes, just gonna free climb this wall. And right as I'm getting up to the top of the plateau, I believe it was a root that was sticking out of the wall there that I felt like was more secure than it was. And it pulled out of the wall, and that's, you know, when I free fell down. 40-foot free fall into the boulders. When I hit, I bounced down, went on down the boulders further distance and came to a stop probably about 30 feet or so away from the initial impact. I woke up just very confused and in shock, literally, about what had just happened. And obviously I didn't show up for supper, so they had a search party find me about an hour or so later, called in a bush pilot that said he could land on top of this pasture where we were. And so with just literally a minute to spare, he did land and got me out of there. Went on to a nearby town and stabilized there from critical condition, you know, to stable. Then ended up flying home here back to Pensacola for this massive back surgery where they fused some vertebrae in. There I lay, you know, in just recovery at a local hospital here, completely dumbfounded and confused, and there was just so much just emotion and anger and you know, just thinking life was over, frankly, and thinking that no more sports, no more baseball, no more skiing, you know, no more anything. There's a lot of denial that goes in on situations like this. It's very common. And I was not immune to that, you know, just not really, you know, accepting maybe what had happened in a way. You know, it was one way to kind of deal with it. At the same token, though, there were obviously times that I knew the severity of it. You know, one night in the hospital, you know, the window was open and looking, I could see the stars, and I can remember thinking, God, this is an impossible situation, but you know, you put those stars into existence, you're the creator of this universe, you know, what is a spinal cord to you? I remember that little nugget of hope and faith there, realizing that, you know, was part of that sort of transformation, early transformation, you know, to go after him. My grandmother's pastor came to pray with me. And when that happened, I knew something was different. He had a presence, a power there. And I told my mom, I said, listen, when I get out of rehab, I'd like to go to Grandma's church, because Pastor Barg, you know, I like him and he has what I need, I believe. And so that's exactly what happened. A couple months later, of course, but we started going to First Assembly, and man, the Holy Spirit was so real there, something, again, I was not used to, but I really needed and helped me so much. And as I began to, just grow like a rocket spiritually in those years after my accident, I had a job my first job out of high school was at a Christian radio station. I went to college and took video courses and liked that even more. And so when I graduated with a comm arts degree with emphasis in broadcasting, this brand new Christian TV station was coming to the area. I started the day this TV station signed on the air in January '86, and I've been there ever since, 37 years and counting, in full-time Christian ministry with the word going forth 24/7. It's an awesome feeling to be a part of a mission that does such a valuable work. And I met this amazing, awesome, gorgeous blonde named Beverly at that time, and in '94 we wed, and she had an 8-year-old boy at the time, and so I became an instant stepdad, and that became just the love of my life. Obviously, that was the second best decision behind the Lord, was meeting and marrying Beverly. And now we have a 4-year-old grandson named Jackson. And just the legacy of that youngin', is very special. Obviously, we want to, leave our mark, in the kingdom on our family. I live by this saying, where there's a will, there's a way. And I figure out ways to do things that people don't think that I can. Sort of almost fight through adversity of learning new things. Snow skiing, for example, it took me, several trips just to be able to go down the slope on this monoski, because I was falling every 20 feet, it seemed like. And now, as we've been going every year since since the '90s, I'm on Black Diamond mogul runs through the trees. There's nothing I won't try to do now. I took up cycling in a big way and started competing in that, going to races throughout the country on my hand cycle, doing road races, time trials, criteriums. And in 2015, I did 5,000 miles. That year, which was no small feat. Adversity hits every one of us. None of us are immune from hardship, tragedy even. The Lord is there as your help and as a refuge, as a source that you can turn to, not blame, but He's there to get you through it. While it may be difficult and hard, a lot of frustration through it, but inside He has joy for us. It's our strength. So just muster up that endurance that's inside of you to get you through anything life can throw.